So the story of the next 10 years is about how do we, as individuals and organisations, learn to navigate a world where digital is becoming central, certainly in any developed economy. And how do we evolve ourselves and make sure that tech serves us and not that we simply become servants of the technology. And what we see is that with digital innovation, you also see some new breeds of innovators emerge, which are challenging to the rest of us. The first group are the aliens. The aliens very deliberately talk in a very obscure language about very obscure concepts, but they threaten us that these concepts are also going to rule the world. So right now we're hearing that artificial intelligence, blockchain, initial coin offerings, cryptocurrency, blah, 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 that this is the future of the economy, this is the future of our world. Our estimate is that less than 1% of the whole planet understand all these things. And yet they're being told that this is the future, which is a pretty scary place, and which is one of the reasons why we get such slow decision makings in our lives and in our corporations, because we don't get it. So one of the big opportunities here for those people who give themselves permission to step into the space between the 99% and the 1% to actually translate this stuff so it makes sense. This is an insurance company that's trying to get inside the heads of millennials and how they think. And what it realizes is that millennials are making life choices in a fraction of a second. You know, they're swiping right to say, yes, I want to marry you, or left, no, you're not the right fit for me. But, quite often in almost no time. And they're saying, well, why can't we create services that way? So now they've created an insurance product that basically says, you've got some expensive jewelry, you've got a camera, you don't use it very often, it's locked away. When you take it out of the safe, you can swipe right and start insuring. When you put it back, you swipe left and stop. Instead of what we have today, which is a just-in-case policy that you pay for the whole year. And they're saying, how many aspects of our life could we start to apply that to? If we get the services that people want, how do we apply that? Could we charge for education that way? We have Metromar that does it for cars. It only insures you when the car is moving. How do we start to get inside the heads of our consumers and charge them what they really think it's worth? And then you've got the barbarians, the third group, who really don't care about the existing players. They have to trample over the existing players. They have to fight the legislation in order to create a space for themselves. Skype, Uber, Airbnb, those classic players who come in and had to really take everyone on in order to create a space for themselves. And these are three breeds of innovator that have been have been enabled by digital, and we're going to see a lot more of this. What we're also seeing is more and more people recognizing the power of these exponential technologies. The global economy today is about 80 trillion, it's going to grow to about 120 trillion in the next 7 to 10 years. And a lot of that is going to come from the application of these emerging science and technology fields. Over half of that, in fact, will come from businesses and industries that don't yet exist or have just been born. Three main types of application. One is where we're augmenting the human. So you take a doctor, you see, they're doing a diagnosis, the AI goes off and looks at the symptoms, comes back with all of the possibilities of what this could be and the different treatment paths. The doctor then uses their judgment, their experience, their intuition to make the actual recommendation to the patient. The second are replacements, where we're just taking out humans. So Accenture tell us that they've taken out 30,000 roles that humans used to do with AI. That doesn't mean they've replaced 30,000 people, but they've automated the role. We do work with one of the big four, and they were telling us that there's a task that accountants used to do to calculate something on a balance sheet for a client, and you were posting ledger entries and things. It would take you 16 hours, and they would get bored, and they would make mistakes. And then the third is where we're doing things on a scale that humans could never do anymore. So we have in pharmaceuticals, we want to discover a new drug for a particular disease or condition. What we can do now with AI is literally look at millions of possible compounds and simulate them and see what impact they might have on the condition. We simply couldn't do that with humans in the lab now with test tubes, or even with large-scale testing equipment. We just couldn't do that volume at that speed. So we've got those three main categories. You're seeing the idea that AI is going to create wholly new business concepts for us. So with autonomous vehicles, you don't need to own your car anymore, because 95 to 99% of the time your car is stationary, providing a road drying service, basically, just protecting the road underneath it. But what it will do is allow us to have cars which take you to work, take someone else to work, take someone shopping, take someone to the theatre, hospital, whatever, and just charge a taxi fare for each journey, and then share the revenue with whoever made it, whoever services it, whoever repairs it. And it can also be self-insuring. Again, it can join a pool of other cars on the road, talk to each other, and insure each other in that pool while they're driving. As soon as you stop driving, you take your money back, you're off the pool. So we start to change insurance. And then finally, we're looking at using more and more 4D printed materials. 4D printing allows us to create objects that can reconfigure into their original shape. So after an accident, you just apply an electrical charge, and the body panel will go back to its original shape. Which means that one innovation, like autonomous vehicles, impacts auto finance, auto insurance, auto repair in quite dramatic ways. So, what we can see here is we can't hold back the pace of innovation. Most of us, I don't think, are aware of how fast the innovation is moving. Even if we're in the field, we don't necessarily see what's happening in the field next to us. And when you take that span of what's happening in biology, material science, electronics, and all the other science and technology fields, it becomes far more kind of shocking to realise how fast it's all moving and together. The second is digital literacy. I've talked about this already, but really investing in raising everyone's literacy so they can not only use the technology in front of them, but understand the technologies that are coming. And I think that's both a corporate and a personal and a national responsibility. There's also, I think, a role we all have to play here in pushing public policy around, we talked about this before, but the investment in education, how much we support the people who are jobless, experimenting with things like guaranteed basic incomes, but tied to training or doing some sort of new skills development. What are we doing to encourage job creation? How are we really encouraging entrepreneurs and corporates to support new ventures? And then finally, what are we doing to invest in those sectors of tomorrow to really accelerate them? And whatever we think we're doing, how would we double the amount of jobs we're creating in those sectors? What would we do if we had to double that? And then, finally, it's about creative skills. Thinking about what are those skills that we need to be developing at every level, from individuals, children, right the way through to mature adults, around looking after ourselves, around making sure we're emotionally and culturally sensitive, how to think about the future, how to make sense of it, how to deal with uncertainty, how to solve problems, how to collaborate, a whole range of skills that really help people navigate the world, navigate a new workplace, and learn quickly in a new workplace the skills they need for that particular job. Because we can't possibly know what skills someone will need for a job in 5 years' time, let alone a job in 20 if they're coming out, if they're going to school today.
I was teaching our business school class 3 weeks ago. They asked me about how long should the CD be, and I said, sure. I said 2 pages. He said, 2 pages? Why 2 pages? I said, that's your success CD. All of you are super smart, brilliant people. That's your failure CD. I want to know what you failed at. How resourceful were you? How much courage do you have? How did you pivot? How did you change? What do you do today to be able to, and what did you learn from there? How do you move forward? That's what I want to hire, because all of you are brilliant. How do you make a difference? Make a difference by actually learning and responding to experimentation, exploration, pivoting, changing. And I think that's one of the things, the greatest innovators in the world, modern and traditional, they try new things. Christopher Columbus just said, I'm going to sail. I'm going to go west, and I'm going to find India, found America. But they were explorers. They didn't know where they were going. They screwed up many of them. That's, I think, part of the spirit that we need to start building inside. That's the spirit of exploration and adventure and courage.